Almost.
Hello.
Bienvenidos.
Bienvenidos. Buenas.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
Been a long couple of days, hasn't it?
Oh, don't start. But that's the beauty of life, huh?
Yeah. It's good to be. It's good when it gets like this. That kind of hectic atmosphere just sort of creates more emotion. It's good.
Indeed.
Let's wait for everybody to shuffle in.
And Eugene's with his shows again.
yeah. I see the. Looks like they're starting already over there. Yeah.
Oh, Ben, what should we vote for? I see vote for, and then I don't see what's below for. Is it never mind the shitcoin, or your name is covering it up? Tell us, come on.
It's well, it's not the shitcoins t-shirt for a change.
Is it vote for Pedro?
It is, yes. I'll give you 3 points if you can give me the movie reference, Ron. No.
Pulp Fiction.
No, it's that guy. The
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Oh, classic film if you've not seen it. It's brilliant. I love that film.
Vote for Pedro.
Originally, Dion bought this for herself, but it was a little bit, yeah, it fit me better, so. It's another busy day for Eugene, isn't it? Looking at his agenda.
Yeah. We don't have any presentations today, obviously, right?
Don't we?
At the GBA event? I don't believe so.
No, I mean here.
Here, yeah. Or else why are we here, right? Well, I mean, looks like we're a little light, but it's already 3 minutes after, so I guess we'll get started. So hi, everyone. Welcome to community call number 73. I apologize that I wasn't here last week, but I think we can all pretty much agree that Ben did a stellar job standing in for me. So Ben, listen, thanks for having my back, man. Really appreciate that. As always, let's see those shining faces and bright smiles. I see we have a lot of cameras on today, which is good. Let's keep that momentum going. Let's also save our questions until the end of every presentation. And for our dear YouTubers, write your questions or comments in the thread, and we'll get to them at the very end of the call. Let's see, a very short introduction from me today. Not to mention the fact that I was out, but also that there really hasn't been any movement on the proposal side of things in terms of voting. We just fixed that. So I can say that we are in a position now to start the voting process again anew, which is good. On the one hand, but I think the bigger question, of course, on everybody's mind is when are we going to get our tokens? And for the third time now in a row, I'm going to ask you to please bear down and have a little more patience. Look, it's just not that simple in terms of changing over the giver accounts, right? Or changing them at all. And it was actually explained to me in quasi-technical terms that I actually understood. that basically there are just too many security risks to just, it's not like deploying a multi-sig. This is a very, very complicated process. Lots of things can go wrong. So it's meticulous, it's tedious. And look, I want this over as much as anybody else. I certainly don't enjoy getting 10 messages a day asking when are we going to get our tokens. So believe me, I'm on your side on this, but just remember, you're not alone, right? We all have to wait. So please, a little bit more. We'll get it done very, very soon. Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. All right. So thank you for understanding. We're going to switch things up just a little bit today because Mita is offline. He's not going to be able to join us. So we're not going to have a really in-depth technical update, but we are going to have just a little bit of a run through, maybe for those who might not be aware of what's going on with the leaderboard and that sort of thing for RustCup. So we have Sergey and we have Pavel with us, and I don't know who wants to go first. Maybe Sergey, just a couple of words.
Hello.
Hi.
That's a couple of words.
Just to sum up, what's been done on RastCup up until now. So the final leaderboard has been published on the forum. It's available. A list of the warm-up participants has been published on the forum. And the mandate terms of the RastCup also has been discussed and published on the forum. So basically all the pieces are available to sum up and to move on, I believe. So what's remaining? The mandate terms still have to be submitted for voting and approved by the governments, I believe. Without it, we can't proceed because there are significant amendments that were proposed to increase number of winners, and there are additional warm-up rewards, and so on and so on. I believe it can be done very soon. Maybe Pavel can comment more how we can arrange it. But I probably prepare some draft of proposal and we can submit it. And the second,
and we're ready to
yeah.
vote. So whenever you guys are ready, yeah.
Another thing is more complicated. It's the incentive scheme for the RastCup pools. It should be automated with a debot because otherwise it's unpractical to enforce it. So here, I believe that Mita should improve the exact implementation of this debot soon. But it will take some time to make it happen. So here I can't say exact how long it may take time. So probably it will take some time. It's all from my status, from me on the current status. Maybe some other questions. I'm ready to answer.
Well, I normally don't go to YouTube until the end, but there is one question that just arose. When will you publish the results of the special prizes portion?
Probably bug bounties. Yeah. There are a list of some bug bounties. It should be discussed. It's one more thing that should be discussed because it was a range of rewards, as I recall, from 5,000 up until 20,000 for bucks. So probably the technical team should be review it and say what is more critical, what is less. It's one more thanks for for mentioning this one more thing that should be done.
Understood. Somebody's asking also, when will distribution happen? And oh, never mind, he'd retracted his
Soon.
message. So soon.
Soon.
Come on, we're going to actually probably put in for a patent on the name soon. All right, thank you.
But as I mentioned, that we need to approve the exact scheme. You see, it's possible to send the log stakes into the pools, but it makes little sense without the incentive scheme that was promised for the RastCup pools, because those log stakes are not enough to participate in validation for majority of validators. So we need to have some kind of automated tool for the to enforce all these vesting stakes for those the pool participants who lock their stakes for some time, up to 4 years. You can imagine. It should be automated, so for any lock to the RastCup pool, there should be 2 vestings, one for the participant and the other for the validator, and it should be done in some smooth, automated way.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you very much. Pavel, did you want to add anything, or is that pretty much covered? I'll take that as the latter. All right. Very good. Thank you, Sergey. Let's move on now. I guess we have some information regarding the Ethereum NFT bridge, and apparently our very own Roman is going to talk to us about it. So if you would, please.
Yeah. Hi, all. I just want to briefly describe about the results of the NFT contest, NFT bridge to the Ethereum. In general, we had 2 submissions, 2 winners. All of them got their reward. In general, our contest, we've got very good results. There was questions about the judgments again, but there as a negative, as a plus, as a positive comments for the both submissions. And I just wanted to add that there was we had a AMA session, these winners. They described more about the solutions. We suppose that there will be a second stage of this contest, because first part, it was only theory. And in the next step, we hope to get a full-fledged solution. So that's all. I'll drop the link on the previous MS session, so you can watch and see more about the winners, their works, more about their works. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Roman. Does anybody have any questions for him? If not, let's move right along. Oh, yeah.
Can I just ask, obviously with this, is this kind of like the first stage of a series of contests? So will there now be an implementation
of course.
contest to follow?
Yeah, of course, there will be a full-fledged implementation because the first part, it was like a theory that participants should describe how they are going to solve this problem. And the next stage, we hope to invite more participants, and we hope to get a full-fledged solution. Yeah.
Fantastic. Look forward to that one.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Okay. All right. Now, for those who might not be aware, we've had quite a start to the week in terms of off-chain events and all sorts of other events. We've participated now, since the last few days, we've been part of the big BSN event, part of the Messari mainnet event, and I'm sure many of you know, but if you don't, the Messari mainnet conferences, like that's a mega monster, and we were part of it. I know you've also probably heard some rumors going around about talk of rebranding and that sort of thing. So what I'd like to kind of do is maybe package all that together and hand it over to who I think is probably best to address everything in one shot, which is Alex, of course, Alex Filatov. So maybe just give us the highlights from BSN, from Messari mainnet, because I think, I mean, we've seen the pictures and everything, but we really want to sort of get a feel for how it went. And then, talk to us about what the rebranding is all about. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Ron. Since I kind of led to all this turbulence, I have to kind of contribute to sorting it out a little bit. Well, let's start from the easy one, from the BSN conference. Just a quick background, as many of you might know, we're formal partners with BSN. We're actually finalizing integration. It's almost done with the Chinese blockchain services network, BSN network, in partnership with Red Hat Technologies, which is core developer of the network. It's done actually by the Chinese community, headed by Zachary Lee, who I don't think he's on the call today. He actually might be still at the conference. And their team is basically doing full-fledged integration. What it gives us, it gives access to multiple Chinese developers. As you know, China is struggling on the cryptocurrency related fronts. I mean, everything is basically forbidden, but it doesn't undermine that people can still develop on the decentralized backends. It's not too decentralized in the Chinese case, but still, you know, it's kind of almost blockchain, let's put it this way. And of course, we're supporting our friends at Red Hat Technologies with all we can. It's a very smooth relationship. We already spoke at 3 conferences between myself and Mita. And yesterday was just another one. Actually, it was pre-recorded, to be honest. It was a massive, conference. On the picture, I saw thousands of people apparently, with the idea to, attract developers, teams, enterprises to the BSN network. I think it was a decent speech, but let's see maybe our Chinese community to comment on that. And by the way, for those who don't know, our Chinese developer community is growing quite nicely. The latest that I heard is there are 70 active developers. Besides integration with BSN, they're doing, for example, a very cool NFT marketplace with TikTok-like dynamics. So it's I'm really happy with the way things are going in China. So that marketplace, by the way, already has 3,000 users. So yesterday tried it out. Don't remember the name. Whoever remembers, you can send the links, or I'll send the link later on. Now moving on to the bigger kind of animals, not in terms of size, but in terms of, level of excitement. So indeed, we were fortunate to get a speaking slot at the Messari conference. I spoke at one of the main panels about decentralization, together with the president of Avalanche. And then I don't think they were number ones, but like number twos of the MakerDAO and Graph. And the head of analytics of Messari was leading the panel. I think our positioning is the most exciting in the space on decentralization, because basically everybody says, okay, we are decentralized. We have many validators, token layer ones, and then we do something on the governance, like DAO-like structure. I'm saying, okay, that's fine, but there are a couple of more things to decentralization. One is around the technical aspect, what Mita calls, and I guess we'll call end-to-end decentralization or Web3, where in no part of your vertical stack you have web in between, which is not the case. We're pretty much the only exception. Typically somewhere towards the front end, you have, some web, and then you lose the point of decentralized, consensus, for example. So that Web3 thing was kind of, I could see people were like looking at their phones. And then I started promoting the concept, and people, started looking at me, what is this guy talking about? And apparently it raised some interest there. And then I said, well, how about tokenomics? Typically what happens in the projects, there is a foundation, a consensus, a company, an enterprise or something that launches the token, keeps 30-40%. In the good case, there are cases, don't want to mention names, but we all know them, where they keep like 80% or 90% of tokens, and then call it decentralized and do kind of ICO token sale, and then it's decentralized. which is not. So I kind of presented the concept of our launch without any token sale, explained it actually triggered a big discussion about the downsides of that, like there is no liquidity at the beginning, etc. But I think that was the second really provocative point. So all in all, it was good. Talking about the Messari overall, first of all, we're partners with Messari, by the way. So we have our disclosure on materials on Messari. But talking about the mainnet overall, what was kind of different versus previous years, the big ones I've been to were like around Ethereum will take it all. And here's the motto was the multi-chain future. I mean, it was everywhere from day one. And for me, that was a big change. I think it's triggered by the fact that there was growth, significant growth is some market cap of some chains like Solana and Avalanche and Near to a certain extent, Phantom, obviously Cardano earlier. Well, Cardano is a separate story. So yeah, and then I think the second piece is everybody sees that Ethereum is struggling. You can particularly see that on NFTs, where Vitalik Buterin already twice said that, let's take NFTs from layer 1 somewhere to layer 2, just to, limit the load on the network. So I think that's kind of the second trigger. I think that's great for us. This multi-chain thing, I think is great. There are a lot of smaller things, but I don't want to lose time on that. Rebranding. I mean, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, because I think the first time I wrote about that in the community chat was 4 or 5 months ago. That's where we started getting signals. By we, I mean not me personally. By we, I mean DeFi Alliance folks, somebody else folks. We started getting signals, particularly from exchanges. It started from exchanges that they just kind of don't want to list the token because of this legacy of SEC Telegram court case. And there was one particular exchange, I don't want to say the name, quite reputable, where we had DeFi Alliance had a very warm intro, and they just said loud and clear, guys, until you remove TON from your name, just, we're just not going to take that risk. So that was an initial trigger. And then there was one partnership, significant partnership, a couple of weeks ago, where a partner, basically, again, I cannot mention the name, just to be sensitive to that partner, said basically, well, look, you guys are looking good from the technical standpoint, but you have kind of two issues. One is you have too much of an over proportion of your Russian community, which there is nothing wrong with it, but still, you don't kind of feel it yet like a very international chain, which is unfortunately something that I have to agree with. And that's something where everybody's making a lot of efforts, and I'm happy to hear Moons here, who is making, I don't understand when he's sleeping because he keeps writing at night, Asian time. We have Timothy, we have quite the other folks. So I think we're making steps, but that's the smaller thing. And then the bigger thing was they said, well, look, our lawyers just said, we're a large international reputable organization, just said, like we Google free TON and we get all this stuff, Telegram, SEC, court case, some other TON coins, scam in China and Korea. Like, why should we bother with this? Like, doesn't make sense. We'll just go and do somebody like, clean and lean and mean, and preferably out of the US, because that's de-risk you further. So that was the second big kind of thing, And then at Messari, I spoke with like 20 people cumulatively, including one potential really big NFT partner, US billionaire who has multiple connections in the NFT space to the guys like, I forget the names again. And he was like, guys, just forget it. I mean, you just don't have a chance. You Google the legacy and like, why would you? If you're a large, reputable organization, there are like 10 chains out there. Why would you mess with this shit? Sorry, excuse my French. Shit, I mean legacy, not free TON. Free TON is amazing, of course. And they're saying that you seem to have a great technology, but like, why are you bringing all that legacy? So, and that's after that conversation, 1 hour later, I wrote that message that triggered the discussion. Was, I think, like Thursday, I think. And I have like no doubts. I mean, I have no doubts because there are two ways for us. One way is to keep, is to stick to that legacy, which some of us, and including me, have a lot of sympathy for, but then we will never grow. I use the term glass ceiling, which is typically used in the other for, women not being able to be promoted in large corporations. But I think it's kind of a similar thing in that case. So why should we keep hitting in that ceiling when with our performance, with our governance, with our fundamentals, we're ready to break that ceiling, but we just can't, because of the legacy. So I think the path to large partnerships is going to be murky. And the other one is we become brave. We come up with intelligent positioning, something that actually makes us stronger, and conceptualize, and we just rebrand. Obviously, gradually, because everybody understands that there are hundreds of community resources with the TON brand in it. Everything from free TON house, free TON shop, and all the way to explorers and wallets. I mean, everybody understands that. We're not stupid, right? I mean, I'm a former marketing guy, 10 years of Procter & Gamble, many years ago, but still, and went through quite a few rebrandings. If executed well, it's okay, because you can gradually rebrand, you put mirrors on your sites, etc., etc. If you don't execute well, yes, you have mess. But I have no doubts that that I think we have the capacity cumulatively to execute well. Then we kind of started thinking, spoke with Joanne, spoke with Ben, with Ron, and we kind of thought that, what's the way to do that? What's the right way? The first thing that comes to your mind is we're decentralized, right? We're open. So let's collect 100 names, or let's do a contest. Let's do a contest. And then I saw it on the forum, of course. I didn't comment because I cannot, unfortunately, I support all contests of free TON. You know that I initiated even some stupid ones like Virtual Hero. But that's one where I'm scared to support, to be very honest, because I just don't know what's going to come out. What if we as a community vote for a Chihuahua chain, hoping that Elon Musk would support Chihuahua chain? I'm just kidding, of course, but
Rust Open Network.
you see my point. There were jokes like Mita chain. What if people love Mita so much that they vote for Mita chain? I personally don't mind, but Mita, but you see my point. So it's like, guys, we just cannot do the contest. We can do any contest, but not this one. It has to be an intelligent choice done by professionals. When I was at Messari, I met with David Wachsman, who heads probably the most reputable global PR firm in the blockchain space out of the US. 8 years of operation. They launched Cardano. They rebranded Avalanche. They've done 5 of 10 top 10 projects / coins in the space were done by them. Extremely professional team. US, Ireland, and I think Singapore office. So they're equally positioned in the US, Europe, and Asia, have very good understanding of where they're going. And David is an intelligent and bright guy. In fact, he was one of the 2 only media sponsors at Messari mainnet. So spoke with David and kind of said, well, David, told us the story of free TON. I said, well, look, if you guys are prepared to take a really serious shot on this and allocate resources, and you are going to be personally involved because he has a really big brain, and he very quickly understood, the uniqueness of free TON, then we might consider taking you as, let's call it our arbiter, the kind of the independent juror, to help our community to steer us in the direction of intelligently choosing the name, not spontaneously, and not by anybody's pressure. They basically, and I wrote about this in the community chat, that we're thinking to engage, because I don't think rebranding can take long, because then you start losing community, losing momentum. It has to be focused and decisive. So basically we engaged the folks, Wachsman hired formally. And on Friday, I think last week, we sent them 2 lists. One is the list generated by that I started, and then there were 20 people contributing to that list. I think everybody saw that one. And then there was the list nicely gathered by the community, a little bit smaller with fewer names. We send them those 2 lists and also ask to think out of the box as well, and come up with a short list of alternatives. we had a call with them. I think that was on Thursday. We had a call with them a couple of days later, where and we explained that the positioning should either be around some of the values that we have, openness, freedom, around the white paper slogans, mostly centered around freedom and performance, of course, or about performance, because to be honest, this is probably our key differentiator today. Together with the governance, yes. So that was the brief. In the short list, there were a few names. They played with freedom, but freedom died pretty quickly because you just cannot get on the first page on those search engines as a freedom-related blockchain, simply because it's dominated for so many years with freedom of speech, freedom of this, freedom of that. So like 3 years later, freedom blockchain will never be on page one. Like if you Google today free TON, it's on page one, but freedom blockchain will never be. And most freedom-related stuff won't actually make it. There were plays with like OpenNet, etc. There was they liked a couple of independent names, like not directly linked to like our direct position in our values. For example, a couple of folks, including me, by the way, I have to admit, like the name Leapfrog. I don't know if everybody knows what Leapfrog is, but there are two meanings basically. One is it means kind of jumping beyond, that you're transcending something, that there is, let's say there is blockchain, and then you transcend that blockchain and you go beyond that, and which is the less popular one. And the more popular one is a childish game, when somebody bends and leads and then you jump over that person. So that name kind of was a favorite, but everybody said it's kind of childish a little bit. So I think Leapfrog is kind of off the top of the list. And at some point, I think actually it happened yesterday, at least that's my impression, there was like a consensus favorite shaping up, both with the Wachsman team and those who were on the call. There were quite a few folks from this call who were on that call. And that's metachain. And let me just give you a little bit story why it was not my favorite. I mean, it came from somebody else, which is nice. And let me tell you how I fell in love with that name in the last few days. So quick history of blockchain as we know it. So there was Bitcoin, then there was DeFi, and then were NFTs, but the blockchain space has consistently struggled. My dog doesn't like the name apparently. That blockchain has been consistently struggling on performance, as we all know. And it kind of became really noticeable now when, yeah, it's a Chihuahua, Joanne, that's why I was joking about Chihuahua dog, Chihuahua name. And that became extremely obvious now with NFTs, because if you look at Flow blockchain with NBA Top Shot with one project, it struggles already under the load. There were quite a few delays and network was going down. Vitalik Buterin, as I mentioned, like twice already offered to take NFTs away from Ethereum. And that's because finally blockchain is making it out there into the real world, from the world of crypto and blockchain, fanats and early adopters, to the big world of artists and corporations, and Playboy already has NFTs, and Sotheby's and Christie's. I mean, everybody is going in there. All the sports federation are going in there, as we know. So basically, NFTs are going to make free TON shine, because we're the only chain that can hold, as we all know, 50,000 plus transactions now as we speak, and scalable by adding validators and infrastructure on top of that. So like if tomorrow, I know Twitter and FIFA and Playboy and all of them go to NFTs, there'll be just no chain that can handle that. And then I can tell you more. Everybody heard about metaverses by now. It's we saw that movie, First Player Ready, which clearly visualized what the metaverse world is going to be. And now you have Facebook with their Horizon project, reaching 2.5 billion people once they launch, obviously. You have Roblox, you have Epic Games with Fortnite, you have Sandbox, you have Decentraland, I mean, you name it. You have Microsoft in there already, Amazon, Apple in there, in the metaverse place. So like 2 years from now, there'll be a lot of noise in there. And of course, in metaverses, there'll be a lot of NFTs, like skins of interoperable skins, etc., artifacts in the game. There'll be, of course, place for DeFi as well. So basically, this positioning of the backend, the only capable backend in the world to power this metaverse world, which all the smart people, not me, are saying will be the next internet kind of milestone, internet phenomenon, as a move away from the mobile applications and social networks into, VR powered metaverses, and spend, meetings there and gaming and a lot chunk of our life. So like this positioning is free, the backend for metaverses. So why not metachain? Moving on, meta, if you look at the concept, means beyond, like leapfrog, but more directly. From Greek, basically meta means beyond. And it's a very dominating name. I think, Joanne, you mentioned that last night. I like that one. It's a very dominating name, very powerful one. There is a risk that this is a little bit generic, but like, they call it metaverse, meaning kind of huge and embracing, and, it's everywhere. And metachain is something scalable and huge and embracive, and it's everywhere, and it can sustain any load. So that's how we fell in love. It's by far not a done deal. It's just that the guys came back just now saying that this is kind of their recommendation. They went to do analysis on potential issues like, is there any competition? There is something in Korea, apparently, with Meta. There are a couple of coins, Meta something. So analysis of how easy it would be to capture page one in search engines. Apparently, you can actually analyze that and to make sure we dominate. Just in case, we purchased a domain, metachain.org, which will, of course, once we will transfer to whoever will be our governance partner, like a Linux Foundation or somebody. But just to make it busy, metachain.org. So now what I would suggest is that we take a few days, maybe 3 days. I don't think we should take 3 months, 3 days to digest that proposal again from Wachsman, which I personally can endorse. But somebody can come up with better alternatives. So around that positioning, which I think is an extremely powerful position of the only scalable blockchain which goes beyond. Kind of think of it like there is blockchain, you cross out block, and you add meta chain. It's like the next generation of blockchain. It's like a different phenomenon, blockchain phenomenon. I think it's quite cool. So let's play with it, and maybe we push it to the vote. Let's push it to the community vote in the main English channel, where I think we have the biggest number of people. And then pending reasonable success, it should go, I guess, to the vote of the global governance, new extended global governance at some point. Because again, I don't think we should play with it for a month. We should make a decisive move and then either do a contest for visualization or hire an agency, or maybe hybrid, just to test. That's something that we need to figure out. But let's be brave and let's embrace change. Change is beautiful if executed well. That's all I had to say.
Well said. Wow, very eloquent.
But let's have discussion. We have
Yeah.
professionals here on this call, so a few of them.
Who has a question or a comment?
I have a comment. I would
Let's do comment.
add on to it by saying, yeah, I think we are just too big for our name now. Free TON no longer encapsulates who we are and what our technology is capable of. And of course, as time passes, we lose even more relevance with the TON legacy. So as you'll know, we don't use the TON code. We've completely rewritten and replaced almost all of Durov's protocols, including the core. And so it's no longer about bringing the old blockchain to a decentralized free state. So now we are much more bigger than that. We're the only ones with end-to-end decentralization, the only ones with a multi-threaded blockchain with dynamic sharding, on-demand scalability, 100% community-driven, and we're a prime ecosystem for entrepreneurs. So because of this, we are also disrupting Web3, and we've gone beyond this, laying the foundations for Web3. So we're enabling massively scalable blockchain solutions. So this really leads one to think that we are the chain of chains. You know, we're foundational. We're the architecture where anything can be realized. So we're underpinning this open internet. And that's why I also think that metachain is a wonderful name for the new free TON, because it's the chain of chains. It's a foundation for growth. And also the meaning behind it and the meanings that we can pluck out of the letters themselves in a mathematical termination. The mirrored E means to exist, and the inverted A is for all. So when you put it together, it's existing for all. So we're the chain of chains existing for all. I think that's a really deep meaning for metachain.
That is really, really, really cool. Mm-hmm.
Also shared it with Mita just a few days ago. He just for him to think about. He found another meaning. It's like I cannot because it was too technical, but it's like something at the center, at the root of everything, something like that. But again, I wish he would be here. So it's like we keep in the last couple of days we have people finding new powerful meanings of how that can be interpreted. But I don't want to oversell. So let's have more opinions.
Does anybody want to speak up?
I think Michael Kabanov, of course. How could we?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Discussion without Mike.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm okay with seeing many names and picking the one that fits us the most. But I'm more concerned about synchronizing the technology, like leaving C++ node behind us and moving to the Rust node, and sort of clearing up all of our code from the original TON legacy. So we just need to focus both on the timing, like, we pick the name, okay, it's name X goes, okay, but we should start the rebranding process precisely synchronized with the technologies that we are, totally fresh, so that the legacy will, it works its part, and now we are ready to, open the new page of our book. So my point being here is about the synchronization of renaming, rebranding, and re-technologying of what we got. Just a comment.
I think that's a great point. I think that's everybody's intent was exactly like this, to say we start moving. It won't happen overnight from the C++ network to Rust network. They'll probably coexist for a while, right? So when we start transitioning, it's not going to happen overnight from one name to another. Fully agrees that those two things should be synchronized.
And another point that I would like to maybe add here, that after the discussions of the name within the community, after the votes by the initials, or maybe a broader vote, I don't know, maybe you could test some DGO mechanics there, by the way, expand the voting to all the initials of all the sub-governances and all the juries, maybe just, idea in the air. And I think that speaking of the visualization, we could go with a classical contest model, like we have a fixed name, it's voted, it's name X, and here you go with 2 weeks for some basic branding, like we always do in the contests.
I didn't understand that part. Will you say that again?
We pick the name, make the voting for it, maybe with a broader audience, maybe with all the initials of all sub-governances by all the jury members of all sub-governances. So we'll have a very, big audience which has been involved in the project for a while now, and we can consider those people like, you know, that they're invested in the process and that they do care about what's happening. Yeah, that's the step A, is idea A.
So you said you pick the name and then you run a contest.
Yeah, the two steps. The first step is like, you know, making a list of names, like say 3, 5, 10, whatever. Yes. Vote on the list by the initials of all sub-governances, like a broad audience. Pick the name as the result of the voting. So we'll have the decentralized opinion in place, which I think stays even if the name changes. Yes, it's like an idea just to open a discussion, right? And the contest for branding, like the design, the visualization of the logo or for colors and stuff, we could run like a contest, a casual contest. There's two ideas about the rebranding, like involving
I can see why you would want that.
well, okay, yeah, I would.
But I understand what you're saying. So I think what Alex was saying at the beginning, and I totally think that that's a valid point. Right. I think what we also don't want to do is spend just an exorbitant amount of time trying to talk about the name. Whereas the second part of what you're talking about, I 100% agree with. I think that would be great. Get a real nice brand, get the best of the best. I support that. As far as the name, I think, yeah, I mean, of course, it should be a decentralized process, and absolutely. But I think what Alex is trying to sort of convey is that maybe we present it in a way of, is anybody against the name? Because otherwise this could just roll out forever. And again, him underscoring about professionalism, there's bound to be somebody, I mean, somebody came up with the term Rust Open Network, meaning a RON net. You know, I mean, we just eliminate that baloney.
I mean, we could use the experience of Wachsman's company. Like we present a list from the community. They pick, say, 3 names of it, and we vote on them.
Okay.
Not to have an ongoing discussion without an end about the name, because it will be really internal. We can talk and come to nothing. So we just like set a time period of 3 to 5 days, prepare the list, push it to the Wachmans. They can add something from their ideas, because okay, they're professionals, and okay, we are ready to, you know, share the decentralization with them. Why not? I'm not seeing anything that can ruin the stuff. And they come up with 3 names, which we vote on, like an idea. And they can come up with 1 name. We can watch on that too.
And this would be probably a prizeless contest, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely. It's like you know, another gesture of the initial members, of the jury members, of all the sub-governances, of the main governances, to show the level of investment of them into the blockchain, our blockchain, and all of the stuff that we are doing here. There is no prize here. Mm-hmm. The prize here is your participation.
Okay, I mean,
just an idea.
Sounds like there's some logic there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of almost what happened, Michael, because they came up with a few alternatives. I mentioned Leapfrog, I mentioned Freedom, I mentioned UPNet. It's just that their kind of firm recommendation was that this is their favorite, you know, by big with a big lead, you know, metachain. So my concern is, like, what if we will put 4 names on the community vote and Freedom wins, because people don't want to understand that, you know, we will just not be able to work with that name in terms of the search engines and putting it on top of this. So, and then we'll all look a little bit stupid. What I was thinking.
But we have sorry to interrupt, but we have a filter of Wachsman's professionalism, which will rule out the name freedom. Yes, we all like it, but they, as the professionals for communication, rebranding, or whatever, they know that this is a perfect word. It sounds great and has lots of meanings that we like and need, but it just won't work from the point of communication and branding. So they are like another layer of another filter that will filter the original list, make it short, but all the positions in it will be possible to hand over to communications and work with them.
Mm-hmm. I think Ben has a hand as well. Let's hear more opinions, I guess.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing I sort of said to yourself, Alex, in a chat earlier. At first, I mean, I wasn't particularly taken with the name, but like you say, as you explain the kind of deeper meanings and such, and obviously that kind of Googleability, which is one of my favorite words at the minute, Googleability is just so important nowadays. You know, I try not to write my articles with SEO in mind, but everything is SEO based nowadays. You know, if you can't get onto the front page of Google, you don't exist. So I think I put in the chat group earlier, the problem, like you were saying, Alex, with these kind of very important decisions being spread out across groups is you end up with almost that too many chefs kind of thing. And there was a really funny example in the UK here. It must have been about 3 or 4 years ago. There was a big national boat being built. I think it was like the Queen's kind of boat or something like that. And the powers that be decided they'd have a big public online vote to decide the name of this, you know, this big epic kind of boat for the Queen. And because they'd committed to, you know, choosing whatever name that the public chose for it, the boat ended up being named Boaty McBoatface, which is, you know, I mean, you've got to love the British sense of humour. However, we don't want to end up in any kind of a situation. And like you were saying, Michael, even if you're trying to shortlist things down, you know, by the time you've got to that point, there are logical choices which come out of this. And like I say, I mean, the first thing I said, like with Wachsman, they are experts in everything kind of SEO and being found, and the names they've worked with, you know, at the end of the day, if they think that's the direction to go, that's, you know, I think we should pretty much be getting behind that expert opinion.
Yeah, one thing we can do is kind of building, Ben, also on what you and Michael said. One thing we can do is we can just preliminary taste the spontaneous reaction of the community to the name. Like to put in the chat, like, what do you guys think about metachain? And then based on the, let's say if 99% of 99 will never, if 70% of people say, yes, that's great, and only 3% will say it's horrible, then we're kind of after something here. If 40% of folks will say it's something very bad, then we might want to do what Michael said, that we do with a short list and put that one on the vote. So that could be another way that could be another way to, what is this wrong? Boaty, McBoatface. Another way to handle that, just to feel spontaneous gut reaction of the people. I know, for example, we tried it on Moon just a couple of hours ago. He didn't like it, so that's important consideration. Or am I mistaken, Moon? Sorry to put you on the spot. You have
your mic's off.
Your mic's off. And sorry if it's too late. Sorry if it's too late.
What was that again?
Yeah, sorry if it was too late already. Yeah.
Oh, Alex said that your initial reaction to metachain, you didn't like it.
No. What I'm afraid is that if we vote, you know, among the whole community, I mean, I saw there was a very interesting name called Free Moon. I mean, I'll be so I really hope we don't end up with Free Moon. I mean, it's an honor. It's an honor to me, but I don't think anybody is gonna like that name. So I really don't want all of us to vote for, you know, something like that. I mean, that's my concern.
Yeah, I think the at the end of the day, and Michael, to address your question because it was your question, I think at the end of the day, I think we certainly at some point we have to acknowledge the fact that there are just certain professionals in the industry that know what they're doing, and it's better to just defer to them. So Wachsman is a I mean, anybody can Google Wachsman, PRWACHSMAN. Look, I personally would like to leave it to somebody who knows what they're doing in this particular case. That's just my first reaction.
My point being that we use the professionalism of Wachsman as the last filter, and for, we'll say, 3 names to remain, which they see as perfectly fitting all of our concepts. And we do this to keep the decentralized fashion of making any global decisions. I'm okay to go with Wachsman's proposal if they say, okay, this would be your name, chain. Okay, I'm with that, absolutely. If they think that that's fine for us. But just adding some, like adding or moonchain also sounds good for me. But I'm just saying of having some bits of decentralization in this process and involving the community. That's it. Now just just an idea.
That's a good point. So my kind of friendly reaction to you was, and Timothy, I think, well, let's have more opinions.
Timothy, please.
Okay, I believe this is a very a nice agenda about branding, and it's not something to take simple, because you see it comes with some implications. There are pros and cons. So the reason why I suppose what Michael is saying, I think we can do it the other way around. Why don't we first involve professionals? Maybe they give us their ideas and they propose those best names that they can be able to propose for us. And then now we bring it to the community so that now the community can maybe vote for such names. But we begin with the professionals because, we are all gifted differently. Let's agree that there are those people who know to do this better than us in terms of branding. So we give them that chance. And then now it comes to the community, and we try to do like maybe a proposal to pass the names the name that will be suggested or something of the sort. That's my thinking.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I was just, as I was saying before, for me, what we can do now quickly, and in fact, I'm even typing now as we talk, is we can just have a spontaneous check of the community. If direction is missed, we go the Michael's way. I understand what he's saying. That makes sense. If the support is overwhelmingly positive, then we might just skip that. I'm very blunt to avoid risks, because like, I mean, if all 3 names would be hypothetically acceptable, I'm okay. But yeah, like, why should we waste time if people love the clear favorite recommendation? So yeah, let's probably just do that and see the community vote.
And I will also add here that we should restrict the timeline for the discussion, ideas and stuff. We have 3 days. We have to understand what we want and move forward. I think that's also essential, because in other cases it will be weeks and weeks, lots of time wasted.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. Yeah, this would have to be
That's
done very quickly.
Always a recommendation that you cannot have it long rebranding, because then you start losing community. It has to be decisive and strong.
Yeah, I think also the problem is if we open it up to too wide of a community vote, we're going to kind of end up causing a little bit of disagreement amongst ourselves and then have a slightly ununited front. So I think if we can get behind the one name from the outset without having to kind of vote between lots of different ones, it would definitely be better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Any more? I mean, I know we're running over a little bit, but it's an important discussion. Does anybody else have an opinion? Somebody want to say something? Feel free.
I just one word. I just I didn't know the new name, this proposal before. In just a few minutes, I just heard it, and I think we need to. The overall reaction is surprise in the beginning, and then after thinking about, maybe it's cool. So we need to give some time. I understand that a large chunk of professional work has already been done. We need to give a little time for the community to digest it and to collect opinions and to see the reaction and proceed quickly. So if the reaction is generally positive, so my opinion. Thanks.
I share exactly what you just said. When the discussions were first happening, my first reaction, and I've also gone through rebrandings, and I've experienced it, and it's not it's not fun. My first thought was we should delay it. My personal thought was we should delay it until a certain milestone is reached and that sort of thing. But my mind's changed. And it's changed primarily because I understand that the upside, the value add that's going to happen from the rebranding compared to the obvious obstacles we're going to incur no matter what we do, no matter how cool, no matter how awesome we are, no matter how just out of this world the blockchain is. If there are certain certain organizations that just absolutely refuse to acknowledge anything that references, the old brand, that's a major issue, and it needs to be handled as soon as possible. So I too was first like, what? Really? And then thought about it, slept on it, and thought, yeah, you know what? And if we do, we need to do it quickly. So I share what you said, and I agree. It needs to sink in. It's one of those things where until you sleep on it, you really don't understand how important it is, and then it just sort of dawns on you. So I second that. Does anyone else want to say something?
We should probably move on around. It's, I posted the poll. Let's see, it's really exciting to see what the folks think.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I know I delayed everything, but hey, this is a very important discussion and it went well. So besides BSN and Messari, the Messari Mainnet conference, we had a event yesterday in Washington, D.C. In front of congressional leaders that Mita presented at, albeit virtually. It was a global blockchain associations event to introduce basically, well, like I said, members of Congress and other influential leaders in the U.S. To the possibilities of blockchain. Basically, teach them the P's and Q's of what's available. And it was very interesting, to say the least. But it was a major event, and I think, Joanne, if you could maybe give us some highlights, and then if you could also mention what Cardano, or at least a representative for or a gentleman who feels that Cardano is who they are, said, that would also be great. I'd like to see the reaction from the audience when they hear this. So please.
Hoskinson was there, but there was one guy who was presenting who had some pretty bonkers numbers. I don't know where he got some of his numbers from.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so the seminar that Ron had mentioned was at, and it's still happening right now because it's a 2-day event, is at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. And it is a pretty content-rich event loaded with information that legislators, regulators, and administrators need to know in order to effectively govern in a rapidly changing landscape in terms of technology, economy, politics, and society. So the event itself was aimed at educating government officials and congressional representatives about blockchain and cryptocurrency, because they are not sufficiently knowledgeable enough to create effective regulations, but it's best to educate them so they can make educated decisions, which ideally would be to decentralize things. But anyway, we have great relations with Gerard Dash, who is the founder of GBA, which is the Government Blockchain Association. And they hosted this event, and Free TON was on the grounds there, thanks to Mr. Morozov, Eugene. He manned the booth. He brought in our banners. He set it up. He got on stage a few times to speak, and he did a really good job representing Free TON. He should be a politician. So
Yes.
Right? He did a really good job speaking.
Yeah. The way he answered a direct question with a
Yeah.
very sort of yes or no answer was like, I don't know, Bill Clinton couldn't have done it better.
He was so smooth. And virtually, we had Mita, who presented during advanced blockchain protocols. So, of course, everybody here, you're well aware that Free TON is an immense ecosystem with a lot to cover. And we have Mita, who is a visionary with a lot of valuable information to share, but we only had 10 minutes to present all of this. So we condensed as much as we could into 15 minutes, which of course went over time. But the presentation was basically on disrupting every industry that requires trust. And that's banking, corporate governance, commerce, internet law, democracy. And he spoke about why technology hasn't been able to do this yet, which of course offered a nice transition into Free TON, where he went into architecture and some facts. And obviously 10 minutes is not enough. We went over to 15. And because of this, he was not able to do any Q&As, which we were really hoping
That was really
for.
unfortunate. We were really pissed off about that. That was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It
didn't
was
like that at
definitely
all.
unfortunate. But also we had Mikhail Komarov, who's a bit quieter in our scene, but we definitely have to mention him, who had a really great presentation about blockchain elections. He covered e-voting, zero-knowledge voting protocols for encrypted eligible-only voter results, and a lot of other things that I think went way over people's heads, but was very valuable. And it was very good for him to present all of this. So all in all, as many are aware, in the political landscape, especially in the US, the Senate recently voted to approve that $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. So everybody's wondering, and officials want to explore, what does this bill have to do with cryptocurrency adoption, mining, governance? What is it going to do specifically? So this is why the event's going on. And there were also a lot of other big names there. Charles Hoskinson from Cardano was there. Scott Stornetta, the co-inventor of blockchain, and a bunch of other people, a lot of lawyers, a lot of politicians. And Eugene he's doing everything there. He's taking the photos, he's doing the booth, he's schmoozing with people. He's a machine. So this was a private event, but I did see some Freetonians in the chat. I remember Josie and a few other people. So it was really cool to see people sneak in and watch it. But hopefully we can get a recording so everybody could see it and we could put it up, because I think it's valuable, and it was a really great experience for us to be there and get our name out there. And that's pretty much it.
Yep. It was interesting. And I'll be the bad guy and say it. Cardano said that they can that they have a 2 million transaction per second blockchain. They literally said, well, I don't know if the guy is actually part of Cardano, but he certainly is their cheerleader.
I think it was that guy, and it was his research person who put these numbers in.
Yeah, he's some nuclear physicist who turned. I mean, he was a great salesman. I mean, he was a really good salesman. 2 million transactions per second. When I heard that, I think the floor just dropped out from under me. I couldn't believe somebody would actually say something like that. But but he did.
Apparently, they were doing it with 21 validators as well, according to his slide.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal, really.
Yeah,
I think Eugene took a picture of that, right?
yeah, he did.
Maybe I'll try to
Yeah,
look
we
for
should-
it.
Well, anyway, yeah, that was interesting. At any rate, okay, enough of this. Who wants a taste of Ben's bits? Ben,
Great
you're
intro,
up, my
buddy.
friend.
All right, I'll keep this short and sweet, everyone. I know we've ran on a bit today. Malta, obviously, we've got some contests up and running in some of the subgovs already. If you're in a subgov and you haven't got your contest running, do it. Do it now. It's only a few weeks away, and we need some people in Malta. Soundtrack contest. Some of you may have seen I've had a little go myself. I hope you like it, but obviously there's a lot of other really good music in there as well. There's only 1 week to go, so if you are musically inclined, don't feel like it's for, the best of the best professionals, or, have a go. It's a lot of fun. Grand Bazaar have had a fantastic announcement this week with an exclusive NFT range from a very reputable artist, forgive my pronunciation here, Alexei Kuzmenko, which is very, very good. Some very beautiful stuff in there. Regarding June Network, I've had a quick word with Fabrice this morning. There is some very good progress. There's been a small mainnet test transaction done, so the final relay's been set up. Again, I know when is the only question no one can ever answer, but soon, hopefully soon. Again, I promise soon. And my final bit of my Ben's bits. Thursday, we're back for Series 2 of Nevermind the Shitcoins, and I can't wait. I really can't. It's going to be so good, guys, honestly. A lot of pressure on with this, but in the opening week, we've got a couple of really special guests for you. We've got Joel Com from the Bad Crypto podcast, and I've got another guy who's a big name anyway, but he's a very cool guy coming on. We'll also have John and Eugene on week 1, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got a lot of cool games planned already. I mean, I've had 4 weeks to plan this week's episode, so you're in for a treat, Joe and Eugene. And apart from that, obviously, if you've not subscribed or checked it out yet, then please do, because even if, podcasts aren't really your thing, these algorithms are bastards. And if we can beat these algorithms in the next, in these kind of first few weeks, then it really will just help increase the presence of, all our subject matter experts who come on. Alex has been on, Mita's come on a few times, and just getting our name out there and showing what we're doing in a fun, entertaining way. Comedy is a great way of educating people about these matters, and got to give it a try. It's going to be a lot of fun. So Thursday at 6 p.m. UTC. We'd love to see as many people there as we can on the YouTube. Thank you. That's my bits.
You're awesome, brother. Excellent. Wanted to just quickly, before we get to YouTube questions, there was one mention, Alex, before when we were talking about BSN, I think you mentioned the word Red Hat. It's not Red Hat, right? It's a different organization that's part of BSN.
Red Hat Technologies.
Red Hat, like the Red Hat, like the Linux people?
Yeah.
Didn't they get sold?
Oh,
Unless
okay.
I'm confusing them, so let me double check, but I'm pretty confident, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I remember red, but okay, maybe. All right, let's get to YouTube questions. What if Mita decided to leave the project? I'd like to see that happen. I'm kidding, like that'll never happen. Or if something bad happened to him, it feels like the core development will not survive without him. Okay, so Mita is the CTO of TON Labs. TON Labs is now close to around 70 employees. So we have Sergey here right now who'd be happy to step in if something happened to Mita. So I think that question is not relevant, but there's nobody more committed than Mita. And what's it like, knock on wood, throw some salt over your shoulder, nothing's going to happen to Mita. He's as resilient as anybody else. So don't worry about it. There's a whole company behind it, not just Mita. We covered that. Okay, somebody's asking if we rebrand to metachain, will we keep the name of the coin, the crystal? In other words, have we thought about the actual token? I I would probably think that might be a good idea, just for the just to keep it simple. But this is my opinion only. I don't know. Does anybody have a comment?
Sorry, Ron, you're right. It's not Red Hat. It's Red Date, which is a
Yes.
little more funny. Red Date technology. Yeah. I know where I took the Red Hat from.
I know where you took it from because anyway, it's an inside joke.
On Coin, I don't think anybody thought about that yet because we haven't done with the name yet. I'm looking on the current vote of the community. It's a little bit controversial, so I wouldn't rush with the coin. It's probably an easier thing than the network.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just, at that point, it's just a logo. I mean, it could be anything. Alex, could you give more details? What quote unquote list of services Wachsman will perform for free TON and who and how would pay for this? Okay, so I'll answer this. So TON Labs took it upon themselves to pay out of pocket for it. So just like what we always ask people to do, which is to contribute to the community, TON Labs is contributing to the community by reaching into its own pocket. And we're paying for it. So so as far as what they're going to do, I mean, Alex, if you want to, I think we covered
there is
some
a
of it.
very simple reason for that because we offer them tokens because in this way it could be a partnership proposal with Freeton, which is more elegant. But like guys, you just cannot imagine what's going on in the blockchain space. There is like a queue of projects, and David apparently liked us personally, so he took us on. But yeah, but if we would keep pushing tokens and partnership proposals that they have to post on the forum, with all respect to Freeton, it just wouldn't go through. It was very clear to us. It has to be in such a competitive market and demand for top PR. It just doesn't work, unfortunately. So somebody had to take the bill. And what we might do is, if all goes well and everybody is happy, eventually with the rebranding, whatever name we choose, we'll probably compensate that with the partnership proposal as TON Labs. That's probably the most elegant way to do it. And they'll help with analytics about rebranding, positioning, and of course execution of the thing, including engaging key influencers, promoting in key media, helping us to find speaking slots at key events. I mean, all the typical stuff that you would imagine for an agency when you execute rebranding. Well, Joanne, if you want to say more because you dealt with that eventually.
About Wachsman in particular, or
and
just the whole process of rebranding.
Yeah, no, about what they're going to do for us.
Yeah, they are actually, well, they work with a lot of different partners as well who worked with crypto projects and blockchains and reputable people in the space. And they are going to internally discuss with all the names that have been given and kind of visualize and brainstorm. And then they're going to come with us with some directions, some advice. And of course, this is something that can be brought to the community as well to check the temperature, if it's liked. Based on that poll, there's a kind of some negatives. So there are other options and we have to keep our minds open to see what's the best way forward. Anything else?
RonNet. Still for RonNet. I'm just kidding.
RonNet, yeah. You
Totally,
get the Ron
totally.
token.
The Rust open network. I'm totally joking.
Rusty Ron.
Rust. Oh God. Okay. This would be like the reference to the Rusty.
Oh,
tree.
Rusty. Yeah, the Rusty.
No, I'm not going to say it. Okay. Moving right along. Yeah. So look, I mean, you guys could just Google Wachsman PR. Listen, they're top of the line. So they know what the hell they're doing. So I personally, as somebody who's had to delegate responsibility many times in my life, it's just one of those things where I just put it in their capable hands and let them do what they do. That's just me. Some more questions. Comments. So forgive me if I can't paraphrase this correctly. So need to also shorten the ticker to Crystal. I'm sure we'll figure out a way to do that together, guys. Not only give a list of names, okay, but have a story for each one. Should we call like them? Okay. I think
Maybe a slogan he means?
I think he's talking about the ticker.
Oh.
Okay. And so I think what he's trying to say is if we leave the, let's not talk about the name of the token right now. We'll have this conversation again. You know, we could bring this up again next week. But I think what he's saying is that whatever the ticker ends up, or whatever the name of the token ends up being, think about the ticker, the name, and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, 100%. Discussion of naming can cause big holy wars. That is why we already have seen some communities break into parts. Listen, I don't think that's going to happen here. I really don't. Holy wars. I mean, so you know, it's about the value of the network. If the value for somebody is in the name, then I don't know if they really understand what the network's about. That's what I think. All right, picking a name must be, it's going to be all about the name. Picking a name must be a sniper's shot rather than counting the density of holes left by a machine gun. What a metaphor. Okay. Okay. And then somebody said too long and too boring. And then somebody says, what will be the token name in metachain, metacoin? Again, we don't know. We haven't come up with that. So you guys come up with something and we'll see how it goes. Right. That's it. So final call for questions or comments. Anyone? We definitely went over again. I thought today's call was going to be short. I always say that, but it never is it? Guys, gals, everybody, thank you so much for coming. We have a lot to think about, a lot of discussions that are going to go and happen in the chats, I think, right now. In fact, I already see it. It's already blowing up. Hey, and that's great. That's great PR. So we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everybody.
Bye all.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Cheers.
Have a nice week.